Caribbean people, for Jamaicans at large, for people of African descent. It is a great, great day. First female vice president. Uh, her father is Jamaican, her mother is from India. Uh, African American. She she's familiar with the landscape of Jamaica. She visit Jamaica in her as a child, visit, come here. Her family members are still in Brownstown, in St. Anne. They own wholesale there. So it is a great day for the Caribbean. And in the 1950s or so, females could not vote. Once you're a woman, you couldn't vote. In some places as early as the 60s, female got the right to vote. And so this is very, very important. Very, very important overall. And so I'm going to show her oath of office. And remember, this is one of the topics in Caribbean studies. We look at this under Caribbean diaspora. She's part of the diaspora, and she's one of us. All right. Give me a second. And also, it is a great day for educators. It is a great day for teachers overall. Why it's a great day for teachers? Because it is the first time a teacher is going to, well, it's the first time now a teacher is a first lady. So the first lady of the United States is a teacher by profession. She will still be in the classroom while she is in her position. And so it is a very good day for educators overall, especially female educators, right? And so there's one thing in this profession of teaching is that teaching is a very ungrateful job. You'll teach students, and the students is very active in your class, come to your email, your message, your all of this. And then once they leave outside of your classroom, you see them, they pretend as if they don't see you. Yes, it's an ungrateful profession. The next thing is that parents, especially, you have a lot of parents that just come and want to talk down to teachers. Some parents, some students even want to talk down to teachers. And so I have had my fair share of it at this school where I've seen parents try to talk down to me as a teacher. And I've also see where students try to do it also. And I know that Jill Biden will represent the cause of educators, not only in the US, but around the world. Because she's a teacher by profession. She has always been in the classroom, and she just has a passion for teaching. That even when she become vice president, not vice president, but she's now the first lady. She said to them that, listen, I'm still going to teach. That's passion. That's love for her profession. Right? So it's a great day for females overall. I think today is the day for females, yes. But it's a great day for African Americans. It's a great day for people of Asian descent. It's a great day for the Caribbean. It's a great day for Jamaican. And it is a great day for educators. Now let us recap this part of history that happened minutes to 11.
There's no one way to invest, but one name stands out above the rest: Barita.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear
I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right.
You just heard it. You just saw it. History was made. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel.
Yes, ladies, history. We're living in a time when great things is happening. The first female vice president of the United States. All right, now, ladies, let us get to another topic that we're interested in, and we're going to look at coral reefs, the importance of coral reefs in the Caribbean. And so I'm going to play a video, a YouTube video talking about coral reefs. Please listen to the video, make notes on some of the importance of coral reefs, the benefits of coral reefs, and some of the things that are affecting coral reefs, because this topic is a very popular topic in the exam, very, very popular. They ask this question quite a lot. All right.
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write essays that inspire,
Coral reefs can be so awe-inspiring that they change a person's life in a minute.
Well, the first time I saw a beautiful reef, I was so transported. I decided I had to become a marine biologist.
Reef ecologist Judy Lang did her graduate research in Jamaica, a jewel of the Caribbean Sea. It was the early 70s, and the beautiful coral reefs attracted tourists from all over the world. But 40 years later, algae now smothers the reefs.
Jamaica is the first place that reefs really declined in a precipitous manner really quickly.
But it didn't happen by chance or all at once. It began with overfishing. In 30 years, the bigger predators like grouper, barracuda, and sharks were all but wiped out. But no one suspected this would endanger reefs. Then the mysterious white band disease suddenly appeared and began to kill off the signature elkhorn and staghorn corals. Next, Hurricane Allen's 40-foot waves pounded Jamaica's coral into dust.
It was analogous to a forest fire coming through and burning down all the trees.
Weak, infested with snails and worms, the beautiful elkhorn and staghorn corals almost disappeared. And the calamities piled up when the population of sea urchins was decimated 2 years later.
And even today, we still have not figured out what the cause of the die-off was.
The little black urchins had served a useful function.
They would eat all the algae in their path, and they kept the reef clean.
Parrotfish and doctorfish also grazed the algae along the reefs. But now, with the bigger fish gone, local fishermen filled the markets with these smaller cows of the sea. And their numbers plummeted. Without the herbivores, corals were overrun with algae and seaweed. And the onslaught continued. Farming became more industrialized, and hotels lined the beaches, pouring fertilizers, sewage, and other nutrients into the sea. Food for plants and algae. And the final blow is global warming.
The greenhouse effect is warming the oceans, and it turns out that corals already live very close to their upper thermal limits.
In this damaged environment, mass bleaching drained corals of their color and life. For Jamaica, these assaults add up to disaster.
We used to have 60 to 70% of the bottom covered by coral. Today there's 2 to 5% in many, many places.
The same story repeats itself throughout the Caribbean, where coral reefs have declined by 80%. What took a few decades to destroy will take centuries to repair. But it can be done.
We understand now that reefs are very, very resilient. These corals can rebound. And I think just over time they can come back as long as we take steps to reduce human threats.
Governments across the Caribbean are now stepping up to meet the challenge through better management. In new marine protected areas, fish stocks can replenish themselves. And nurseries of baby corals grow to regenerate damaged reefs. New building regulations prevent sediment and pollution from flowing into the ocean. In Belize, the government has banned catching parrotfish and other plant eaters that clean the reefs. If these initiatives are expanded, coral reefs will have a chance to recover.
Want to pass your certification exams?
The crystal clear waters of Jamaica contain one of the most exotic sights of the Caribbean, the spectacular coral reef. The reef is not only a visual wonder, it functions as an important ecosystem as well. It provides biodiversity and protects the coastline from erosion. It also provides jobs and tourism. But decades of human activity have steadily been destroying the coral coverage, and threats to coral will likely increase because of climate change and high levels of acid in the oceans. However, there is hope. Correspondent John Holman traveled to Jamaica and met a group of fishermen turned conservationists who have made it their mission to revitalize the reef.
Jamaica, its images painted in this picture postcard of sea and sand. But it's what's happening beneath the water that could shape the future of this island. The building blocks for all coastal life are the coral reefs, providing a habitat for fish, protecting the coastline from hurricanes, and stopping beaches from being swept away. But the reefs are being destroyed, damaged by overfishing, tourism and pollution. Just a fraction, 8% of Jamaica's original coral cover remains.
What you look down and you see as sort of a burned out browny green reef, that's the color of the algae in some of the corals. Historically, that would have been gold. When you looked at it from the surface, you would have seen gold. And that's the sort of thing we're trying to get back to.
When we first go in the water and we put the things on the bottom...
Marine biologist Andrew Ross is using a new method to try to bring back Jamaica's coral. He and his team call themselves coral gardeners, growing it in special underwater nurseries. Once the corals are ready, they plant them on the reef piece by piece, 50 each trip, a drop in the ocean given the mammoth task. To survive, the coral needs abundant fish. They eat the creatures which damage the reef. Which is why the backing of Orocavessa's fishermen is crucial. Murray and Stone are on patrol. They turned from fishermen to guardians of the ocean when they saw that the fish had all but gone.
I always wanted to have a boat and to go catch some fish for my family. But what really happened, the place has been just fished out like that and hardly catching any fish, and it was real slow.
A no fishing zone was established in the bay. A team of 17 fishermen police it day and night. The sanctuary offers time and space to the fish and the coral, breathing room after decades of overfishing and damage.
If you're running a farm and you're not putting in seedlings, you know what is going to happen to that farm. It's going to run down. 75% of world fish populations depleted. You understand? So, you know, we see the need.
From fishing villages to tourist resorts, the balance between capitalising on the reef now and protecting it for the future is a source of tension. Thousands of tourists coming to the island are one of the dangers to the coral they pay to see.
We dive over 100,000 people, and everything starts with education about what to do and what not to do when you get next to the reef. You know, touching a piece of coral can actually kill it. People are always going to come, and we want them to come. We need them to come. The two have got to find a way to coexist.
Losing the reef would be a disaster for Adam Stewart, head of Sandals, the Caribbean's largest resort chain. That's why he's invested in 2 fishing sanctuaries.
Fully blossoming reef system is your ideal scenario. You know, that just leads to a whole world of opportunity for us as a tourism product. And then, of course, certainly as a local fisherman and the local communities that depend on these reefs to be producing.
Back in Oracabessa Bay, the fishermen are learning how to plant coral with Andrew Ross. Many in the scientific community are sceptical they can restore reefs that took thousands of years to develop. Ross admits the project is as fragile as the coral he is trying to save. He needs the support of those who depend on it most.
I think the first people you would talk to who understand that the fishery is in trouble, it's not the man on the beach, it's certainly not the politician, it's the fisherman. Any fisherman who's been on the water more than 20 years know that the coral isn't there.
Murray and Stone continue their patrol. In this critical moment, it will take many more like them if the nation's coral is to survive.
According to the World Resources Institute, the coral reef contributes roughly $34 million to Jamaica's economy each year. Deterioration of the reef can result in a loss of up to $23 million. In the 1970s, coral coverage throughout the Caribbean stood at 50%. Today, it's down to less than 10%. That brings us to the end of our broadcast this week. We'd love to hear from you about this story and all our stories. Please write to us.
All right, ladies. So there are some things that were actually mentioned in the videos. What are some of the benefits of coral reefs? In fact, they mentioned 3 main benefits of coral reefs. What are the benefits?
The coral
They
reef.
acted. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so one benefit of the coral reef is it acts as a barrier to certain natural disasters such as hurricanes. Another one is that the coral reef, with the presence of the coral reef, there are many different species of fish, so that allows different species of fish to be,
All right, thanks. All right, thanks, Kasana.
Yes.
Abigail, you were saying something? It was Abigail or Althea, which
Serene.
one?
It was Serene.
Serene? Go ahead, Shirley.
Oh, I was going to say that they provide living areas for fish, but they also provide oxygen and the barrier to the natural disasters, as Kisana said.
All right, very good. Both of you are correct. Both. So those are some of the benefits that we mentioned. All right. So part that were actually mentioned in the video. Now, when we look at Caribbean geography, one thing is very certain is that our Caribbean uh, our geography allows for the importance of coral reef in maintaining many aspects of our region's way of life. In fact, our entire Caribbean region depends on coral reefs. Some of the contributions of coral reefs is one, the reefs provide for habitats, as you mentioned earlier on, in terms of the shelter for food for thousands of species of marine flora and fauna, even food for people because people eat a lot of fish. Also, the reefs are very important is that it breaks the force of waves. So when there's hurricane and when our a storm or the weather is just bad at sea, it helps to break that wave. All right. Another is that the reefs, as mentioned earlier, is that the reefs are breeding ground for many species of fish, and we depend on that. And the reefs also protect coastal harbors and beaches. Right now, we don't have much beaches in Jamaica, right? Because almost all our reefs have been basically destroyed, right? And uh, other Caribbean countries are also facing similar problems when it comes to the reefs there. My wife is from Grenada, and there is a very famous beach there that is the Granance Beach. And she said when she was actually growing up, the beach was the coastline of the coastline or the beach area was much wider. Right now, it is not as wide as it used to be because the reefs have been destroyed in that area. Uh, I'm not so sure when it comes to Barbados about the reefs there because in Barbados, especially Browns Beach, which is, I believe, it is my favorite beach in the entire world. Browns Beach, very nice beach with little dots of pink sand. Close to the, we call it, close to the shore, you find some very small fish around your foot most times, right? Yeah, most times you find. So it seems as if there's some level of protection of the reefs there in along that part of Barbados, the protection of the reef within that area. Because even very close, you see some very tiny little fish. You can basically see through them. You're swimming and they are right there swimming with you. Pretty lovely beach.
Sir,
Cayman, go ahead for me.
sir, I'm going to have to disagree with you when you
You
said that
disagree?
Browns Beach is the best beach. Personally, I believe Brownons Beach is a lot better than Browns Beach.
No, I don't like. All right, Granance Beach. No, I find to me Browns Beach is the best. Granance Beach, it is very deep. But we can't disagree. We can't disagree because there's a lot of other persons who actually said to me that Granance is better than Browns Beach or better than the beaches in Barbados. But for me, Browns Beach is my favorite. My favorite. But you realize that at it for Granance it is a little deeper than Browns, correct?
Yes, sir. When you go to Brownons, as soon as you walk into the water, there's like a dip, and
Yes.
you start off like walking by your ankles, and then before you know it, you're at your shoulders. It's very deep.
Yes, and so that is my fear of Granance Beach. That is my fear of Granance. Another place that has very nice beach, thank you very much for that, Abigail, is the Cayman Islands. They have done a lot of work in protecting their reefs. And so there's a beach in Cayman that is called the 7 Miles Beach. Very, very nice beach. And the government there has done a lot of work in preserving the reefs in Cayman. Why? Because the Cayman Islands is a very flat territory. There's no sea, well, not sea, there's no river. Most of the area is mangrove. And if you don't protect those reefs, then it could be that the entire island, Grand Cayman to be specific, could turn sea. So you have to protect the reefs there. And the government is trying very hard in Cayman to protect the reefs. Jamaica has not been doing a very good job in protecting their reefs. And as a result of that, if we look at, for example, Hellshire, almost all there's no beach that is at Hellshire right now. Basically no beach at Hellshire because we haven't protect the reefs there. Now, there are three main things, benefits of the reefs that the two previous videos would have mentioned. One is job. The reefs provide jobs, especially for the fishing industry. It's breeding ground for fish. You have a lot of beach vendors, people who sell fish on the beach or some form of dumpling or something to that effect. There's a lot of restaurants. We depend on it. And so it provides for jobs. Tourists, a lot of tourists, they come to the Caribbean for diving. They come to study about the reefs. They come for beaches. They come for the photography to take pictures of our lovely beaches and our underwater environment in the Caribbean. So when it comes to jobs, tourism, right? Very, very important when it comes to these areas, when it comes to the reef. And also the coastal area, which I believe is the biggest one, because it protects the coastal land from erosion and also breaks the wave when it comes to storm and hurricane. One example of this is that in Kingston, where you know that the Kingston Harbor is very polluted, a lot of recently when we had a hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Ivan, the entire Palisados highway was covered with water. You actually swear that it was a sea. After that, people were actually saying that, listen, it seems as if we will have to build a new airport somewhere else. Right? That was how bad it was in Hurricane Ivan. And an entire community was basically destroyed because the reefs were destroyed and there's nothing that was there to break the waves. So all the waves came over into the community and swept away an entire community. I think that area was called Caribbean Terrace. Another community, which is a fishing village, Portland Cottage, was basically washed out, covered by the seawater because the reefs there were destroyed. And in Portmore, the government would have built what do you call it now? They expanded the wharf, the Kingston Wharf, and the port. And so with the expansion of the port, that would have damaged a lot of the reefs within that area. So, and also the overfishing that happens at Hellshire. So the overfishing, the building of the wharf, and also the roads. The building now expanding the highway also destroys some of the reefs in that area. And so within these areas, we have some serious issues when it comes to coastal erosion. One of the sad part about it is that if we don't protect our reefs, coastal areas, some of our communities are going to be completely destroyed. If you look on the Kingston Harbor, back in the days, where you have places like Scotiabank, downtown Port Royal Street, along that street. You used to have sun along that area where people used to go on the sun. Right now, you don't have any sun. If you're driving, you'll realize that some of the water is actually coming onto the roadway within that area, downtown. And if we don't fix the problem there, then it could be that after a period of time, all those buildings that are along that area, nice, lovely buildings, are going to go.
Sir?
If we go ahead for me.
So just like how the government is considering moving the international airport to St. Elizabeth because the water levels are rising and
Yeah.
the land is disappearing. So they're considering moving the airport to St. Elizabeth.
Yes. So maybe we have to go and move the city.
Probably, sir.
Maybe. And very good point. And if we look at some of the threat to the coral reefs, one of them is that, as just mentioned, sea level is constantly rising. Improper sewage treatment, especially from hotels, not only hotels alone, but quite a lot of people just they have a home, they build somewhere, they just lead their sewage to the, we call it now, sewage pipe to the canal, from the canal to the river, from the river to the sea. Not good for the corals. Now we're using a lot of chemical fertilizer for planting and that also affects the reefs because it leads from the farms to the rivers, from the rivers to the sea, destruction of the reefs. Next thing, construction of hotels. We're doing a lot of construction. One example, not only the hotels, but the expansion of ports, and that also damaged the reef. And I'm very much concerned about the recent expansion of the building of a new port in Port Royal. The government recently did that, and environmentalists warned against, tell the government that you need to be careful of that because Port Royal is a danger zone. From the earthquake, it is a danger zone. And they went ahead and they destroyed some of the coral reefs there to construct a hotel, not a hotel, a port. There, we had ships come in 1 or 2 times. I don't know where we're going with that. And also there's a lot of traffic. Tourist traffic can also be a problem. Overfishing is a problem, and having a lot of development on the coastal area can also be a problem for our reefs. Now, if we look at the videos, they would have mentioned that one, some ways in which we can protect our reefs is through education. We can control the fishing. It also mentioned about building nurseries, and Adam Stewart would have said Sandals would have built a fishing sanctuary. We could also have a maritime zone where we said these areas you are not allowed to fish, our boats are not allowed to go in that area, our ships are not allowed to dock in that area to protect the reefs in our country. There is something else I want to show before our time expires. I'll show you this one, which is a news.
Starting to get eroded in some places. There's a lot of seaweed.
Lives and livelihoods are now being threatened as the coastline in parts of Clarendon is being eaten away by the sea. But amidst the crisis is a fresh effort to help save the area. More in this report from Dwayne Anderson.
The early morning sun kisses the water while a boat heads out to sea. A perfect island picture. Or is it? The lands around parts of Clarendon's south coast are under threat. Where this man walks was once a wider expanse of land called Welcome Beach. Now it is a fraction of what it once was, not that welcoming anymore. Mangroves nearby have toppled over because their roots have no land to hold on to. With the mangroves gone, the sea has a clear run at the land.
You can see right now it's much narrower, and much of the roadway that was behind the beach is starting to get eroded in some places. There's a lot of seaweed piling up on the beach as well, so it's not as nice whether for swimming or for to function as a fishing beach. There are a few remnants of the original structures. Quite a few people lived out here before Ivan, but that's what really started the decline of this whole beach. And as erosion continues, there won't be much left of it in another few years.
The eroded soil that is deposited in this channel has made sailing in the area increasingly difficult. It is a real test of the seafarer's skills. Chart the wrong course and this could happen, a shipwreck.
Because the breakwater at the channel entrance to the river is being eroded, so fishers have put those markers there to guide themselves through the channel to find the deeper sections, because there's siltation going on at the mouth of the river. So if you don't keep to the deeper sections, you will run aground in the soft sediment that's constantly shifting because of the erosion that's taking place there. So much of the beaches in this area are being eroded away.
But why should you care? Brandon Hay is the scientific officer at the Caribbean Coastal Area Management Foundation, CCAM. He says the entire ecosystem in the area has lost its balance, and this could spell danger for these coastal parts when storms or other weather systems hit.
Parrotfish produce quite a bit of the sand, which ends up on the beaches, which creates beaches. However, we have additional problems in this area, and throughout much of Jamaica, that have to do with the reef quality itself.
Last month, the Inter-American Development Bank IDB signed an agreement for mangrove restoration with the University of the West Indies. It is hoped the US $2.45 million deal will help make places like Salt River more resilient against things like erosion once some of its mangroves are replaced. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
Want to pass your...
All right, ladies, so that's it for coral reefs. Any question, any comments? All right, ladies, so we meet on, well, we are not meeting tomorrow. We're going to meet Monday, not Monday, Thursday and Monday in your group. So finish the IA. I need the IA on Monday by 11:59 p.m. And on Tuesday, use the Tuesday class to start to prepare for your exam. When we meet again in the end of February after your exams, you're going to get an activity on coral reef, not coral reefs, but on geographical phenomena. And then after that, then we are going to go into completing module 1. So we're on track in finishing module 1 on time. Any question, any comments? All right, ladies, enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Same to you, sir.
Same to you.
Thank you, sir. Same to you. Bye.
Bye-bye.